Hey babies, and welcome back to my channel. What it do? How you doing? I'm Dragon Slayer Babe. I am kind of in disguise at the moment, but this is a wig. Clearly, let's all wait, pause. Let's just ignore the hairline, please. I'm too lazy to pluck it, so we're just gonna pretend like the hairline isn't crazy, which it is, but we're gonna pretend, okay? During today's video, I'm going to be doing my makeup, but I'm more going to be focused on the Q&A section of this video. So if you have questions about any of the makeup that I do, make sure to hit me up in the comments. But other than that, I'm not gonna like super go into everything I'm doing for my makeup because this is a Q&A video. Let's get right into this. Let's start with an easy question. The first one is from Ray of Moonlight, and it is, what was your first manga/anime? So as many of you guys already know, my first anime that I ever watched was Fairy Tail, and like, listen, the first time that I even sat my eyeballs on it, I was like, I hate this. Fairy Tail is an acquired taste, you know what I'm saying? It's very, especially in the first season, annoying. What's kind of weird about the whole thing is like, I had no reason to even start watching anime. Like none of my friends watched it. None of my family watched it. I just kind of stumbled upon it on Netflix. But I'm glad that I stuck it out because like, Fairy Tail is the reason I started like any of this stuff, you know what I'm saying? It holds like a special like place in my heart. My sweet precious angel babies. All right, so the next one is from Katie Eves. It's, what's something you dislike or like about the internet and social media? Oh my God, great question. Everything and everything, to both of those. I'm using the James Charles palette, by the way. I think that social media is a really good outlet for creativity. I love that. But unfortunately, that's usually not the only thing going on whenever you are on social media. It's not just about the art. It's a lot of it is about everyone's opinion on your art, which can sometimes be really, really detrimental as an artist because you get all this hype for one thing and you're like, oh, I'm on a roll, people like my art. And then no hype for something else that you're actually passionate about. And then I think that frequently people like change what they post. Like, so say somebody's passionate about one thing, but another thing that they do gets a lot of hype. The whole reason you were on social media was to express yourself, but now you're conforming to what other people want to see, and then you're losing what you're actually passionate about. And I think that that's really detrimental. And I think it's also a really natural cycle to happen. So like, it's hard to escape from doing that. You know what I'm saying? I think that this next question kind of is a really good follow-up to the one that we just answered. And it's from Steffi Brady 10. And the question is, do you have any tips on how to start a successful and positive account? So I probably can't and won't talk about how to build a successful account because I don't know how much control we kind of have over that. It's really whether the people who will like your videos or content or whatever actually see it. So that kind of depends on like the algorithms and that kind of stuff. So I don't really know. But being positive is something that I really try to stick to on my accounts. The internet is like a scary place, you know what I'm saying? I think the internet can be really, really detrimental to people's attitudes, and it's so consuming, and I don't actually know why it's so consuming. I think it's just because everybody's doing it, and so we feel like we have nothing else to do. But I think one way that is kind of the easiest way to block negativity on your accounts, because like if you look through my comments and if you look through like the people that like really follow me, most of everything that gets commented on my stuff is really positive. And I think the best way to promote that and make that happen is when you are given a platform, do not use it for negativity on your part. So like I try to not be negative about anything. If I'm feeling a certain type of way, I really try to not post it on my social medias, not to be fake and not to like hide the fact or pretend like I'm perfect, but more of when you have a platform, sometimes the things that you share have a big impact on the people who follow you and their day. And so I would rather smile and be happy, which is just kind of naturally in my nature anyway. I'm a very, very optimistic person. And I'm all about being honest and, you know, having feelings that are, not everybody's happy all the time. And I don't claim to be happy all the time. But there's a difference between faking being happy all the time and just trying to be a positive influence on those around you. Like, I know that whenever I see big content creators talk consistently about their depression or their anxiety, I do appreciate that, like, that makes people not feel alone. But at the same time, sometimes it gets to an extent that's just like perpetuating the same feelings and kind of pokes down other people. Does that make sense? Ignore this hair for like a second. I can't see this other eye. So like, I think you have to find a balance between, yes, being true to like your feelings and not being fake, but also spreading light to your followers. And I kind of feel like that's a responsibility for somebody who gets a platform. Like, if you are given by the universe or whatever a platform to reach people on, you have to be aware of that. Like, you have to make yourself aware that everything that you post, everything that you say has an impact on at least someone. And then you have to super think about, okay, what is the impact that this post is gonna have on somebody? You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it, fun, creative stuff, that's fine or whatever, but like, when you're saying something personal or not just for fun, but like something that you're saying, you have to know that that affects people, and you have to, like, to have a positive account, you have to like keep that thing that you're sharing, you have to keep that positive. I think that one way to make that difference while not being fake is to take care of yourself and make yourself somebody that is a naturally positive individual, that is maybe not naturally positive, but that has a bright outlook on life, you know? And I think that that might be a really like difficult place for people to reach, but it's even more difficult if you perpetuate it and always talk about your depression or always talk about your anxiety. That just keeps it in your mind. That keeps those feelings fresh in your mind. And talking about it all the time is not really making it any better. I get talking about it whenever things are really bad, but like, if you don't try to fix it, then you need to stop talking about it. Saying you're sad is one thing. Saying you're sad every single day for months and months and months without getting any help or without doing anything about it is really just wrong, because it's like you're trying to bring other people down. Does that make sense? And I hope I don't get any hate for that. I'm so sorry. But I don't know. I don't flow very well with people who are just always talking about how depressed they are. Do something about it. Or stop making everybody around you feel sorry for you or also feel depressed. That was the tea, all right? All right, next question. We're gonna lighten up the mood because I just talked about some things that are kind of heavy, at least for me. So this one is by Jess Rob _ and the question is, if there was an Olympic event for everyday activities, which activity do you think you would excel at? Drinking coffee. I would absolutely excel at drinking coffee. I drink more coffee than anybody I have ever met. By the way, since I know some of y'all are gonna be curious, the shine thing that I just popped on was from the Manny MUA Strawberry Dream palette, and it's the color Blue Diamond, which is this one right here. I love this palette, by the way. I'm gonna do more looks with it. I love this palette. All right, so this next one, a couple people asked me, so I'm just gonna pick Carefree Chelsea 04. The question is, what got you started into cosplay? So I've actually been doing makeup and like hair and been really super into that for a very long time. Not that I was good at it, but like I was doing that kind of stuff in like middle and high school. I was already obsessed with it. And then I had created a separate Instagram. So Dragon Slayer Babes Instagram was originally in like a fan art account, really terrible. Like I totally copied, like snagged art off of online and put it on my Instagram, which is so, I'm sorry. I was looking at all types of anime stuff, and obviously whenever you look at anime stuff, cosplays start popping up. And so I saw these like cosplayers that were doing really great stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, that is so awesome. Like, I want to try to do it. But I didn't own any wigs. I didn't know how to do like cosplay type makeup, which by the way, obviously, I still don't do real cosplay makeup. I kind of just do like if the character was a real human, their makeup. But anyway, I had no wigs, nothing, no costumes, no money. My very first cosplay ever was Neji from Naruto because I assumed that my hair was enough of the same color as his to get by with it. Listen, it wasn't. It truthfully wasn't. I seriously just put on a headband and called it a day. Like, how? What? So bad. But looking back at like what I thought of it then, like I was so proud of myself. Like I was like, wow, I cosplayed, and then I just couldn't stop. Now I'm gonna add some liner. This makes me super nervous because I really love how the eyes have turned out so far. So if I screw this up, I will actually cry. It's okay. It's okay. We didn't die. Yes, I know that this is clearly a look where you're supposed to go all out with the liner, but I'm scared, okay? I have not practiced eyeliner in so long. So we're gonna like jump off the plane before it crashes, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna parachute gently down. So since we've already been a little deep with this Q&A anyway, let's just keep on trucking. So this next question is by Chaotic Mess, and the question is, how do you deal with anxiety? Do you have any tips? I used to suffer from like really severe panic attacks pretty regularly. They started in middle school, had lots of really traumatic experiences like we all do. Like, I'm not special in that way. We all have super traumatic issues, things that happen to us. Even people who appear perfect. Ignore the fact that there's blue all over my face. I'm gonna fix it, I promise. But anyway, I had my share of really traumatic events, and one of them that caused the most severe anxiety started when I was in middle school. And then I don't know that I ever really recovered during high school. So it kind of just stayed that way until I kind of recently, like this past year or two, I've just been not having anxiety the way I used to, or really at all. And when I say that, I'm not talking about like the everyday types of anxiety that we have, like, is that car about to hit me? Or for me personally, you know, am I gonna make straight A's? Because that's one of my things that I haven't. I'm not talking about that kind of anxiety. I mean more of like the severe, like panic attack, starting, heart palpitation type anxiety. Because that type of anxiety usually, for me at least, didn't really have like a trigger that was actually going to affect me. It was more of like my thoughts that were creating the anxiety. And the thoughts that were giving me this fear, it wasn't really my actual situation that was stressful. It was kind of just me putting myself into a state of stress for whatever reason, which those reasons are valid. Like, it's not like you're doing it on purpose to have an anxiety attack. That's not what I mean. I just mean like your brain, like it's a coping mechanism. It's whatever that it is, but it still is you. Like it's you doing it most of the time for me. And so I think that that's actually something that's really beneficial to come to terms with for yourself, because that means that if it's you doing it, in reality, if you look at the whole situation, you are in control of that anxiety. Feeling out of control is something that makes your anxiety worse. So if you can just like talk yourself into realizing, okay, I'm in control of my body. I am in control. And when I went to lots of counseling, okay, like lots of counseling, which is great. You should do it, by the way, even if you feel like you're perfectly mental health superbness. If you start to regularly recognize that you are in control of that anxiety, even if you feel like you can't control it, just realizing that you are in control of it is something that really, really helped me personally. My dad, we're going to talk about my dad, sorry, told me something one time that like actually made taking control of my anxiety something that was easier to wrap my head around, because like people tell you to take control of your emotions, take control of your anxiety, your depression, whatever, all the time. Like they say that, but they don't really give you any real useful tools to actually do it. Does that make sense? I don't even know how we got onto this topic, but my dad said to me, he said, when I was younger, I used to have nightmares all the time. My dad is very straightforward. This is so my dad. he was like, I'm tired of having these bad dreams. And so his bad dreams were somebody was chasing him and it would stress him out and it was a really bad dream. And he said that one day in his dream, while he was dreaming, he stopped, turned around, faced the bad thing and said, I'm not scared of you. And then he stopped having bad dreams. Now, that sounds crazy to me, but like the more that I chewed on that story and the more that I thought about it, like, okay, something is chasing me. My anxiety is chasing me. Whatever I'm having anxiety about in my brain is chasing me. My depression, whatever. The way that I take control over that is to stop, turn around and tell whatever that thing is, I'm not afraid of you. And that puts you in control. Like, that's like a tactile example of what you can do mentally. So whenever he told me that story, I ran with it and I used that as like a method because it felt more physical than just people telling me control it, whatever. It was like a physical action almost that you could do in your brain. So for some reason that was super helpful. So that's one of the tips that I have for you, is to just chew on that story for a little bit and like try to start small, like so little things that give you anxiety. The temperature in a room is too stuffy or whatever. In your mind, take yourself to a place where you can look at whatever it is or think about it or whatever and say, you're not bothering me. I'm not afraid of you. You don't have power over me. And start small. And then once you start practicing starting small, it'll be easier and easier. This is something that my counselor told me to do, which was true. Like I'm an example of it actually happening. It'll get easier and easier to work up to the big stuff. You don't have to jump in right away and be like, oh, let me just face my biggest thing right off the bat. No, you don't have to do that. And also that's probably not a good way to go, because then if it doesn't work, you're just gonna get hurt even more. Does that make sense? So you need to start small and you need to work your way up. And I need to put on lashes. I'm gonna go put on lashes real fast and I will be right back. Blue everywhere. Don't let me disappoint you. Anyway, so my other method of dealing with anxiety for me personally, and this is on like more of a like small level anxiety type thing, I tell myself stories. Like I make up stories in my head. It's really easy for me personally to get invested in a story. So what I do is I create a story and I have one of my characters going through something that is really stressful. Let's use like a real example. So like I have somebody running, right? They are running away from people who are trying to beat them up for some reason, right? So they are stressed out. I start with that kind of emotion because I'm already stressed out. And so in the story, what I'll do is figure out a storyline that calms that character down. And in turn, by walking myself through that process of calming them down, it calms me down. Does that make sense? So like, for example, they're running from somebody and they like splat, they run into something, right? Like, let's just go with the most cliche thing possible. This thing that stopped them won't let them continue running away. That is key. So the thing that stopped them won't let them keep running, doesn't just let them go. And this just like depends on whatever mood I'm in, will depend on like how the situation. But anyway, that person will either have to like face the people that are following them, or be rescued and not have to face them alone, or get carried away or whatever. They get saved from the thing that's chasing them, regardless of if they save themselves or whatever, it doesn't matter. I continue the story past dealing with whatever was chasing them, because even after you get chased by something, and even after that immediate fear thing coming at you goes away, whenever you have anxiety or depression or mental stuff going on, it doesn't just go away after the immediate traumatic experience is there. It obviously like stays with you. You stay keyed up for a while after you have something like that happen. So I will create a story of them not only stopping and not running from their fear and dealing with it, but then also coming down from it. Say you're feeling pain, and so you make your character have something that hurts them. So like they fell and they scraped their knee or whatever. And so then they have to go through the process of like dealing with that and making it better and putting medicine on it and like whatever, you know what I'm saying? And so just mentally, like almost acting out, but in a different context, your anxiety and like getting those characters through it, well, for me, it helps me get through whatever the anxiety is. So I'm not still in that same place because I walked myself out of it. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. It can kind of get you through literally like anything. Like if you're feeling lonely, you could do the same process. If you're feeling depressed, you can do it. But I just kind of always thought that was weird that I do, because everybody that I talk to about it is like, you what? And I'm like, I tell myself stories. I don't know, bruh, what? And I've actually done that since I was little. Like I remember the stories that I would tell myself when I was like a kid to help me like cope with things. So I don't know how it started. I don't know what made that happen, but thank high heaven, because what a non-detrimental way to cope with your anxiety. I tell myself stories in my head. For lipstick, I'm going to use the Lunar Beauty liquid lipstick in the shade Wicked. I may hate this, so okay, Manny, my sweet little drama boy. If I get black stuff on my teeth, just don't comment about it, okay? And also, let's not talk about how dirty my beauty blender is either. I do wash it. All right, that's a look. How do we feel about it? Do we stand? Do we love it? Do we hate it? You let me know. Anyway, so I love the look, but I think I more loved the conversation that we had. And I hope that you gained something from this experience of watching this video and listening to me ramble on. I did not answer all of the questions that I got kind of wrapped up in like the deeper ones. So I will do a separate Q&A where I answer like the fun questions and the more easy to answer questions. But for now, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you will give it a thumbs up or whatever, and subscribe to my channel if you want to. And yeah, thank you for watching, babes. Bye. Make up your mind. Wake me up, I can't wake up. Save me, hear my name and save me from the can't wake up. I'm sorry.